Imagine waking up. You expect to find your daughter, Elizabeth, maybe just a little tired after a night out. But you open her bedroom door, and it's
Yeah.
perfect. Too perfect. Empty. You check the house, but she's not there. Just silence. That's the terrible reality Elizabeth's mother, Juanita, faced one morning in April 2016. That slow dawning horror. Elizabeth probably never even made it inside.
And that feeling, that awful confusion turning into dread, that's exactly where we're starting this deep dive. We're heading into Fort Worth, Texas, to really look closely at the disappearance and ultimately the murder of Elizabeth Arellano.
Yeah, and our mission today, it isn't just to tell the story.
Mhm.
We want to sift through all the details of Elizabeth's life, the really puzzling facts around her last hours, and how the investigation took some unexpected turns.
Exactly. We're trying to understand not just what happened, but what it tells us, about the darker side of human nature, the absolute devastation when relationships break down violently.
We'll look at the initial fear, the critical evidence that surfaced, and the huge, lasting scar this left on her family. So before we get into that night, let's paint a picture of who Elizabeth Arellano really was. She was 28, a single mom with 4 kids, lived her whole life in Fort Worth.
Her family called her the glue, the one keeping everyone connected, always checking in, very selfless, very kind, just an open book, apparently.
A devout Christian, known for being sincere, big-hearted, and her big dream, really, was always to have her own family.
And she did that. She married Rudy Arellano, her high school sweetheart. They were together 13 years, raised 3 sons and a daughter.
But here's a really key part of her story, right before this happened. Despite seeming settled, Elizabeth had actually decided to separate from Rudy. She was planning to file for divorce.
That's right. And this wasn't a sudden thing for her. Elizabeth apparently thought things through, really thought them through.
So this decision to divorce must have been huge for her, personally. How did her family react? I understand they were a bit surprised.
They were surprised initially, yes, because she was so contemplative. So for her to reach that decision, it meant she'd really processed it. It was a deliberate step.
And that step, deciding to leave, that can be a dangerous time, can't it?
Tragically, yes. It's often the most dangerous period. When one partner feels they're losing control, things can escalate. Elizabeth had moved back with her parents, and by all accounts, she seemed happy, like she was finding herself again.
Her family saw it as a positive move for her.
Mm.
Okay, so let's go to that night. Friday, April 15th, 2016. Elizabeth had plans for happy hour with work friends.
Yeah, she needed it, apparently, a real girls' night out. Her friend said she was genuinely happy, totally relaxed, no sign she was scared or worried about anything.
They were at a bar for a few hours, had some food, talked. Sources say she had a couple of light drinks, but she was fine to drive. She was responsible like that.
Definitely. And when they left, her friends asked her to call them when she got home, just so they knew she was safe.
And she did. She made that call from her car, parked right outside her parents' house, told her friend she was there, safe.
She was literally feet from the door, technically home.
Just had to get out of the car and walk inside.
Yeah.
But she never did.
And her friend, having just hung up, had absolutely no idea she was the last person Elizabeth would ever speak to. Just chillin'.
So the next morning, Juanita finds the empty room. That confusion quickly turns to real alarm when she sees the car.
Right. Still outside. Keys in the ignition. Her purse inside. Her phone.
That was it. The huge red flag. Juanita knew something was terribly wrong. She called Fort Worth police right away, reported her daughter missing.
That image, keys, phone, purse left behind must have been terrifying for Juanita. Did that immediately change how the police viewed it compared to, say, thinking she just needed a break?
It absolutely did. While, police might initially think someone just took off for a bit, the state of that car screamed otherwise.
Yeah, it suggests she didn't leave willingly.
Exactly. It pointed to her being forced out.
Mm-hmm.
That shifted it from a standard missing person case to something much darker very quickly.
And here's the really harrowing part. Just hours earlier, while Elizabeth was likely being abducted, between maybe 2:41 and 3:00 a.m., someone else made a crucial call.
The fisherman.
Yes, a fisherman. On the Loop 820 bridge over Lake Worth, he heard this awful, ear-piercing scream, then a big splash.
He couldn't see much in the dark.
No, but he saw something fall, and he noticed something large, like a boulder or a cinder block, seemed to be tied to the figure. He called 911 immediately. He knew something terrible had happened.
Thank goodness he did. Emergency crews, divers, they got there fast. They pulled the body from the water.
But it was too late. It was a woman in maroon medical scrubs, the same kind Elizabeth wore every day.
And tied around her neck. A concrete boulder. A massive one, 119 pounds.
Almost her exact weight. Just unimaginable.
Within hours, identification confirmed it was Elizabeth Arellano. Cause
Yeah.
of death, drowning.
So now it's a murder investigation. Police don't have much from friends or neighbors immediately, but they quickly learn about the separation, the upcoming divorce from Rudy.
So they bring Rudy in, not necessarily as a suspect right away, but just to get information, right? See if he knew anything.
Right. But his reaction, it immediately set off alarm bells for the investigators.
How so?
He just didn't seem concerned. That's how sources described it. He was calm and very composed.
That's not typical, is it?
Not at all. That kind of detachment in the face of your wife being missing, possibly dead, it's a huge red flag for experienced detectives. It just doesn't align with how innocent people usually react.
Did they think maybe it was just shock? Or was it immediately suspicious?
While shock can look different on different people, his specific lack of urgency, the absence of grief or worry, that felt wrong. Plus, his story.
What was his story?
He claimed he hadn't seen Elizabeth for 2 days. Said she called him around 2 a.m. that morning, saying she was home and would bring the kids over later. His alibi. He was supposedly tinting windows with a friend until midnight, then went straight home and slept until 7:30 a.m.
Okay. But then things started to unravel. And it started with their own son, didn't it?
It did. A truly heartbreaking moment, but pivotal. Elizabeth's 14-year-old son recognized the rope found with his mother. He used to play with it at Rudy's house.
Oh, wow.
And then the boulder. He recognized that too.
Yeah.
Said it was from an old fence anchor in Rudy's backyard.
That's devastating.
Yeah.
But incredibly damning evidence.
Absolutely seismic for the case. It was the first direct physical link connecting Rudy to the murder weapon, essentially, and it blew any thought of suicide completely out of the water. No question now this was foul play.
So with that, the police started digging into Rudy's alibi much harder.
And it crumbled. Fast. First, his phone records. They showed him calling and texting Elizabeth repeatedly on April 15th, demanding to know where she was when she was finishing work, not the actions of someone detached.
It's just obsession, maybe control.
Very possibly. But then the location data came in. Rudy wasn't home tinting windows or sleeping. His phone pinged near Elizabeth's workplace just before she left for happy hour.
Stalking her.
It certainly looks like it. And worse, around 3 a.m. when he claimed he was asleep, his phone was near Elizabeth's parents' house, directly contradicting his alibi.
And that's supposed 2 a.m. call from Elizabeth.
Never happened. No record of it on either phone. His alibi was completely fabricated.
Then there was the CCTV footage. That must have been crucial.
Hugely. Newly installed cameras near the parents' house caught Elizabeth's car arriving around 2:41 a.m., but then it drives away just moments later.
Got out.
Doesn't look like it. And then a bit later, around 3 a.m., a white Dodge Ram pickup truck matching Rudy's is seen driving north from the parent street, heading towards the Loop 820 bridge.
The bridge where she was found.
Exactly. And police tracked that same truck on other cameras later, placing it just south of the bridge around the time the fishermen heard the scream.
The timeline, the location data, the cameras, it all points directly at him. Shredded his alibi completely.
And the physical evidence back at his house sealed it. The search warrant found that torn-down fence in his yard, missing a concrete anchor.
The one the son recognized.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And get this. In the bed of Rudy's pickup truck, they found broken pieces of concrete. Forensics matched them to the boulder found tied to Elizabeth.
Undeniable.
Yeah.
Direct physical link from his truck to the murder weapon.
It doesn't get much more direct than that. And then there was his behavior afterward.
Right, the neighbor.
Yeah, a neighbor saw Rudy the day after Elizabeth died, sitting on his porch, drinking beer, blasting music. The neighbor described him as looking happy, blissful even.
Blissful. While his wife is dead and his kids have lost their mother?
It's incredibly callous, that mask of sanity, as they sometimes call it, believing you've gotten away with it, showing no remorse. It just solidified the picture of who Rudy really was.
So, with all this evidence piling up, the arrest came quickly.
Very quickly. April 26th, 2016. Just 10 days after Elizabeth's body was pulled from the lake, Rudy Arellano was arrested for her murder.
And faced with that mountain of evidence and the possibility of the death penalty.
He eventually took a plea deal. January 30th, 2019, almost 3 years later, he pleaded guilty to murder.
So, based on everything, what do investigators believe actually happened that night?
They pieced together a truly horrifying sequence. Rudy likely followed Elizabeth from her workplace, maybe even from the bar. He waited until she pulled up to her parents' house.
While she was on the phone with her friend.
Exactly. That moment of distraction was his opportunity. He ambushed her at her car, forced her into his truck. She must have fought, absolutely terrified.
Then he subdued her somehow,
Hmm.
tied that massive boulder around her neck.
Drove her to the Lake Worth Bridge, and then pushed her, or the boulder tied to her, over the edge.
And the fisherman heard her scream as she fell. Her last moments, just absolute terror.
And the intent was clearly for her to disappear. That heavy boulder was meant to keep her body submerged, hidden forever. The fisherman's call, hearing that scream, prevented that.
It's just pure evil, the cold calculation of it.
And it leads to the question that always hangs over cases like this. Why? Why do it?
Did Rudy ever say?
Never. He offered no explanation, no motive. Speculation points towards, inability to cope with the divorce, losing control, maybe jealousy, financial worries about child support, just pure rage or spite.
But we don't actually know.
No. The true reason remains, as the sources say, tucked away under a thick blanket of speculation, leaving her family with these agonizing, unanswered questions.
But regardless of the why, the what was clear. He pleaded guilty. He was sentenced.
Life in prison, no possibility of parole.
The court proceedings, especially the victim impact statements, must have been incredibly difficult.
Heartbreaking doesn't even begin to cover it. Elizabeth's sisters, Ale and Jo, stood up and confronted Rudy directly. They talked about the immense pain, the damage to Elizabeth's 4 kids, how they cried every night for their mom.
And her stepdad, Fidel?
He focused mostly on the children, too, the future they lost. But at the end, he looked Rudy straight in the eye and said, "I hope you rot in hell." Just raw grief and anger.
And Rudy's reaction during all this?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Utterly expressionless, stoic, hands behind his back, eyes vacant, showed, quote, not an ounce of guilt.
That double-faced personality they mentioned?
Exactly. The man who could post pleas online for his missing wife, fake grief at her funeral, all while knowing he was responsible. It's a chilling lack of empathy, a masterclass in manipulation.
It really makes you think. The person you build a life with, capable of such darkness. Elizabeth Arellano, mother, sister, daughter, friend. Her life just violently ended because she chose to leave.
A vibrant person, by all accounts, just wanting a different future for herself.
Which leaves us, and you, with a heavy thought. When relationships break down, when people are hurting, how much responsibility do we have to really see the pain, to recognize the warning signs? Especially when someone's inability to cope might be twisting into something dangerous, something controlling or destructive.
It's a difficult question. Maybe it starts with truly listening, paying attention, and never dismissing that gut feeling when something seems terribly wrong.